And welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host. We are broadcasting live in the belly of the beast, Roseville, Minnesota. It's hard to say that sometimes, you know, especially on days like this. It's getting colder. I like the cold, but it's rainy. And rainy is kind of the way politics works. What are you clapping about that over there, Dawson?
I freaking love the rain.
No,
That's my
I do
favorite
too.
weather.
In October? You like the October rain?
Oh, I love rain.
Yeah, better than
Doesn't
snow.
matter what season. Yeah.
Better than
Weirdos.
snow. I'll take the rain all day.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's bizarre.
I'm sure the audience agrees. And if you comment, I'll read it because I'm reading comments today.
Okay, you're going to be... So we know...
That was a harsh
There you go.
transition.
Straight-laced William, selectively reading your comments. All you got to do is you got to go into Rumble. You'll monitor Facebook and YouTube too, but Rumble's the place to comment. And if you really want to be read by William, because eventually he's going to be very selective, hit a Rumble rant. We will definitely read your comment. It interrupts our show. So hit that Rumble rant. Make sure to also like the show. Whether you're watching it live or watching after the fact, it tells the algorithm, hey, more people should watch this show. Joining me also is MAGA Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Oh yeah, good to be here. There's a lot to get into with Mike Johnson. I mean, the establishment was, they lost their minds as he got in there. Everybody was confused. A lot of people had a lot of questions. Who is this guy? Is he legitimate? Is he MAGA? So good to break it all down.
By the way, I like that T-shirt you got on there.
Thank you.
You know, he's Neil Shaw was going to be a recurring guest on the show, but he's teaching biology. He's a little bit more qualified than Supreme Court justices, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that one? Okay. Running the dials, as always, is our Jewish correspondent, Dawson. We call him Mr. Deep State. What do you almost spit out your 20th diet drink for the day.
Well, this is my second.
What's so
but-
funny about that comment?
Well, no, it's funny because you, I don't know. It just
He's
caught me off
Jewish.
guard.
You consider yourself Jewish, right?
Yeah, and I run your media.
Yeah, I was about to say he controls everything from behind the scenes.
And now Dawson's going to be like, hosting the show is Christian Jake Duesenberg. Oh, no, I only bring that up because it's relevant to a lot of the conversation recently, but
Yeah.
whatever. All right, we call him Deep State Dawson. Oh, wait a second. Jewish Deep State. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. God. See, I got to specify what are jokes nowadays because Mark
Canceled.
Wachowski's got us in the
Yeah, okay.
crosshairs.
No, okay, you might need to speak up, though. I can hardly tell what you're saying with that rasp.
I can't help it, all right? This is the problem, and you guys know this. I have children in school. The children go back to school, and they pick up everything, and that's what happens to the parents.
Tucker.
What? What did Tucker say?
That's good timing, Tucker.
Yes, I
Tucker
am.
says, is it just me or does Jake's voice sound like he's getting sick? I mean, Jake is just a sick guy generally, so.
That's not even that joke fell flat. Listen, Tucker, I power through these things, right? I power through them. I'm a two-time COVID survivor, hurricane survivor. You know, you can't take this guy down. Eventually, I'll have a bear attack in there. I'll survive that as well. Yeah, well, it's not the Wu flu. Brad Ganser, what does he say here?
Rep. Johnson is the next man up. Undoubtedly, he will disappoint someone. More on that later.
Well, of course. Well, geez, see, he only has one good point. We noticed on the last show he's got 1 point. Brad Ganser has one good point. He hasn't had a good point since then. Oh, we're shocking revelation. Water is wet, Brad. Of course he's going to disappoint someone.
Oh, hey. Our American Soul says, hey, everyone, I'm watching live for the first time. Hopefully it's not your last time.
Well, welcome. If you really like it, hit the like button. And if you really want a comment read, hit the Rumble rant. Also, before I forget, Christmas event, if you want to meet all of us at the Mermaid on December 7th, right up north of us in Mounds View, go to actionforliberty.com. You can see right there, Christmas event. Let's get into the story. You wrote the article, Jesse. No one wants to hear my voice today because it's going away. I don't know if I'll have a voice by the end of the show. So who is Speaker Mike Johnson?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dawson, go ahead and pull up that Action for Liberty article because a lot of people have been asking this ever since Mike Johnson was thrown into the nomination and he was elected. A lot of people were wondering who exactly is this guy. And as you can see within the picture there, he got a congratulation message from President Trump. And President Trump was obviously a critical factor in preventing Tom Emmer from becoming the speaker when Trump had put out a series of truths laying out that Tom Emmer was a rhino and that he would not have his support. And, a lot of people say that may have been the nail in the coffin for Tom Emmer. But Mike Johnson, so go ahead and scroll down a little bit there. He's known as MAGA Mike Johnson to many people. He's got a real calm, rational approach in the way that he takes on the swamp here out in D.C. And, Johnson plans on taking a lot of important fights that, Kevin McCarthy may not have been willing to do. For example, the Biden impeachment. Johnson is 100% in support of impeaching Joe Biden, which is very important because, there's a million things that we could list off for why Joe Biden should be impeached. It's only a matter of time. His incompetency, his dementia, along with all of the policy issues that are, time after time he's committed unconstitutional actions. But to give you a little bit of insight of who is this Mike Johnson, he is as an unplanned pregnancy. That's how he came into being into this world. So his speaker race was hardly the first time coming out of nowhere. The son of a disabled firefighter, and he went on to get his law degree from Louisiana State. MAGA Mike is a stalwart defender of religious liberty in the legal world, describing his legal career as defending religious freedom, the sanctity of human life, and biblical values, including the defense of traditional marriage and other ideals like these when they've been under assault. He, is pretty recent within the political world. He got involved with the Louisiana State House of Representatives in 2015, and then quickly became a U.S. House of Representatives member in 2016. He has been a reliable conservative throughout his time, throughout his tenure within there. He helped fight the indictments, the impeachments, all of the witch hunts that were against Trump, which is important. That's a real drawing line. If you can see, you can kind of tell what kind of politician a person is, if they're going to fight for Trump or if they're going to stay on the sidelines. MAGA Mike was on the front lines throughout all these committee hearings. Mike Johnson was out there calling it out that, this is such a scam, and especially with the indictments that are going on currently against President Trump, Mike Johnson has been fighting against it. There's been, the important issues are Ukraine, Israel, continuing resolutions. Those are the fights that are on the forefront of most people's minds. As far as Ukraine is considered, Mike Johnson was initially kind of a backer of Ukraine, so we need to be aware of that. He voted
first vote to send our money over to Ukraine in that money laundering scam, right?
Yep, that's right. April 2022, he supported the Ukrainian Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act, which made it easier for the U.S. to borrow money to the Ukraine. That's the thing. All these politicians claim that we're borrowing and lending this money to Ukraine. It's money that we're never going to get back.
To be fair, most Republicans unfortunately supported that.
I don't know what to be fair means on that. I called that. I think it was that vote. I called people traitors.
He's not uniquely bad.
He's not uniquely bad,
right.
But he's still bad, and I don't give him a pass on it.
Right,
in my opinion. And I called them traitors, and I still to this day believe it. The fact that America is dealing with these catastrophic economic issues, and you take our money over into that money laundering scheme.
And I agree, but at least Mike Johnson has recently turned the corner on this issue. He's been a lot more skeptical of the Ukrainian funding. The last two votes that they've had on funding this Ukrainian war, Mike Johnson has voted against it. He says that he's not sure where all the money's going. He wants transparency in where this money is going, which is true. When we're funding Ukrainian Nazis and we're not tracking where all of these dollars are going, the least that we should be able to have as the American taxpayer is some transparency in the process.
Well, and let me put the glass half full on that. Okay, so I agree with your assessment. What I think it exposes of Mike Johnson, it shows that he can come the right way, right? And essentially, as the Speaker of the House, you are the Speaker. The body is going to decide certain things, right?
Yep.
So it's good to see that pull this way because some have not and some keep going, right?
Oh, yeah.
Write that check, Nikki Haley says.
Right.
But what I still think is it's a judgment call, and I'm sick and tired of these congressmen getting it wrong because there's always these emergencies, whether it's the coronavirus and we got to issue in a new socialist program. The urge, the beast, the swamp is so pressing. But I'll be a glass half full guy on this. He's coming the right direction on that.
And that's right. Yeah, most politicians once they make their position, they do not change their mind. And it's nice to see that Mike Johnson can admit that he was maybe wrong initially on this, but I mean, we still got to pressure him in the right way.
And here's the other good endorsement. Pull up the tweet there, Dawson, on Ukraine, the Ukraine line in our notes. This is from Bill Kristol, is Bill Kristol the quintessential neocon in journalism? We've tweeted this out. FYI, Mike Johnson, Ukraine report card, very poor.
Yeah.
It's like, great, because what Bill Kristol wants is to fight Russia on Ukrainian soil. If it was up to Bill Kristol, he'd probably send brigades of American troops and spill blood over in Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that is nice to see. If Bill Kristol's out there saying that Mike Johnson is bad on Ukraine, that means he's good on Ukraine. So, that's
Even
good
if he
to
started
see.
in a bad spot. That's right.
Right.
Yep.
And then, moving along to Israel, which obviously is, the most hot-button topic of, the times right now. Johnson is definitely a strong supporter of Israel. He has called to, quote, end Hamas forever. And obviously, everybody has seen on the news the first legislative action that was done yesterday as he became the speaker was passing a resolution supporting Israel against Hamas. The resolution was passed overwhelmingly with only 9 Democrats and 1 Republican opposing it. One of the Democrats was Ilhan. It was a lot of the progressives that were going against this. But the one Republican, Thomas Massey, criticized the resolution because he said it would, number one, force sanctions, force foreign aid commitments. It would establish an open-ended promise of military support, including even the possibility of the use of our own military and our own blood. And also it expands the scope of the war and the American mission. So when we're looking at this, we have to be aware that Johnson is maybe going to be a little bit hawkish when it comes to Israel. We need to stand prepared to hold his feet to the fire and prevent the military-industrial complex from marching us into World War III, which is currently what's going on between Iran, what's going on with Israel, what's going on with the entire world right now. It's World War III.
What are you laughing at? So
No, sorry. I'm assuming that I'm the well-groomed guy and Andy Parrish's comment here.
What's his comment?
Jake/Jesse/well-groomed guy. Are politicians allowed to make a bad vote, learn from it, and move on? Or do you just call them rhinos and move on if they're not perfect?
Oh, would you move on.org, Andy?
No, but that's right. I don't mind giving someone credit if they change their mind, if they come to the right way of thinking, and if they're willing to admit that they took a bad vote. I think that just admitting it is a huge step along the way.
Just like Hillary Clinton, I made one bad vote, and I voted to authorize the war in Iraq. Just one bad vote. It does obviously matter what the vote is, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe to the degree you funded, what was it, $50 billion the first time, I guess, is that a forgivable sin? Certainly much more than authorizing a pointless war in Iraq.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, $50 billion is just a drop in the bucket, right?
I know, it's just like the state of Minnesota's, well, it used to be the state of Minnesota's biennial budget, now ballooned up.
Mm-hmm. As long as it's
I can hear my voice. I know how crazy I sound right now.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to bring this up. His first speech as Speaker of the House, he talks about his first bill will be on Israel.
Yeah.
Now, what you just talked about was a resolution. Was that just a misspeak, or do we got to interrupt? Hold on. I'll hold that. Go to the Rumble rant.
I'd like to inform everyone that Napkinator79 is slogging through episode 85.
I love it.
Keep them coming. I know, I love it. We should get a shirt that says
you guys, you know what I can't say about you guys is you guys spend some time on Twitter and you show me what the haters say, and you show me that loser Broadcorp calling. By the way, saying, "Oh, big surprise action for Liberties against Emmer." On this show, I said I support Emmer as speaker.
Yeah.
Now you gotta go watch that last show.
I was against Emmer, but you were saying, yeah. I mean,
you gotta go watch the show and see why. See why in my explanation why I wanted Emmer to be the speaker. Obviously, no big fan of Tom Emmer these days. On a personal level, very nice guy, by the way. But I don't look at the personal level. Don't be friends with politicians. That's a bad road.
No, but it was hilarious to see Broadcorp. These other, there was a bunch of rhinos on Twitter. For the 3.5 hours, I hope they had the best 3.5 hours of their life with Tom Emmer as the leader. Because that's all they got. They got 3.5 hours. Then they blame Action for Liberty. It's like, what are you talking about?
Shut up, Jesse. That was our we sunk Emmer. That's it.
Yeah, no, we're
it's us.
That's us.
But that's the thing. Was it us? Was it Kevin McCarthy? Was it Trump? There was lots of factors.
We'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get. What do you got, Dawson? You raising your hand there?
Yep, on Facebook we've got a comment from.
I was gonna get to it.
From Leslie Duesenberg saying, "Mom says gargle with salt water."
Okay.
Yes, you should.
This is about the most embarrassing moment I've had on my show. That my mom's commenting on Facebook.
Yeah,
well,
typical boomer on Facebook, right?
Tucker also has some advice. He says better start drinking more OJ.
I don't know, the vitamin C part. Yeah.
And
Carmel always tells me about the vitamin C and stuff like that, and she's got like a special blend.
Oh, no, that won't work. What the secret, and I know this because I was in musicals and theater as a kid. The secret.
Wait, what?
You guys knew this.
I definitely knew
well,
it.
why is this the secret?
Well, okay, because when you're in musicals theater, your throat is always getting sore from all this stuff. The secret to solving a sore throat is really easy. It's warm water, salt, a lot of salt, like a disgusting amount of salt, lemon, and honey. Mix it all together, and then gargle a whole big.
Okay, so
cup
you're
of it
agreeing with my mom. You just have a little additional honey
to make it taste better.
And my dad,
worse,
being
yeah.
a former beekeeper, a successful beekeeper, not like Andy Parrish who failed at beekeeping, because he was a successful beekeeper, I can use like homegrown honey in there, and I just need to find a lemon.
Yeah.
I don't keep a lot of lemons around the household.
Brett Ganser says too many Marlboro Reds.
Yeah, that's
also
it. That guy actually smokes. What's he talking about?
Also, Andy Parrish did confirm that I'm the well-groomed guy. Andy, I actually work with your former coworker.
Who's that?
I don't know if I want to say their name, but
why? What is
when you were working,
it poisonous to
Andy,
say
when you were working with Fishbach, so
Andy never worked with Fishbach.
or sorry, not Fishbach,
You talking about Bachman?
Bachman, yeah.
Oh, well, let's
Interesting.
bring it up after the show.
Yeah.
I was making a point about something. Was it on the? Yes, it was on the So this was a resolution that passed.
right.
Is there an Israeli bill coming up? That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure. I assume that he was talking about this resolution because that was obviously a lot of what the Republican caucus was saying was going to be the first action that they were going to take was passing that resolution. But
the way that the applause went. And I wish I had this video queued up. It wasn't the Republican side that stood up and clapped. And this is where the Uniparty is really showing its head. Is that we all got to get behind Israel to a point where we're all standing up and let's just give away all of America's treasures to Israel. Which, by the way, I want to segregate the Jewish people from the state of Israel, right? Because I just look at this stuff as more money laundering. You're taking our hard-earned money. Actually, you know what? They're not even taking our hard-earned money at the end of the day. What they're doing is they're deflating our dollar to do this stuff. Because they're running these
our
budget
future
deficits.
hard-earned money.
Yeah, you're actually screwing my kids over by doing this stuff. It's just like you're not charitable. You're giving away money that we don't have, so you're taking it from my future generations of Duesenberg households. So that's the problem I have with it. So I don't know what that bill is, but that's apparently going to get wide support in Congress.
No, it is crazy that the establishment thinks just because of their global preferences that they have the right to send our money, to send our people to go and die. So it is pretty nuts. And then also when we're looking at the continuing resolution situation, obviously a lot of people remember Matt Gaetz, the very issue that he pushed on Kevin McCarthy during the speaker race, and then the reason he ultimately decided to oust him with the motion to vacate was because of single subject bills. Kevin McCarthy was pushing a continuing resolution that was an omnibus bill that was thousands of pages that put together all different kinds of subjects that had nothing to do with each other, riddled with lobbyists and special interests. It was just a bunch of thousands of pages of BS, and that's a systematic problem with the U.S. Congress. That was something that was, like I said, a major drawing line for Matt Gaetz to cause all of this to happen. Luckily, we think that Mike Johnson is going to be on the side of single subject bills. He voted against the continuing resolution that is currently funding the government that McCarthy proposed, and he is out there saying that he wants to do all these bills one at a time. Let's go back to the article, Dawson, because there is a section. Scroll down a little bit, because right there. So that is what the agenda is that Mike Johnson had sent off to the conference.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Dawson? It's kind of hard to read.
Right, so he says... let's see here. So he says, in the interest of time, I would propose that we seek consensus to discharge the last two appropriations bills, Labor, HHS, and Education, and Commerce, Justice, and Science from the Appropriations Committee. We should also create a new working group to address member concerns with the agricultural, rural development, and FDA appropriations bills. As all of this is being completed, if another stopgap measure is needed to extend government funding beyond the November 17th deadline, I would propose a measure that expires on January 15th or April 15th based on what we can obtain with conference consensus to ensure the Senate does not jam the House with a Christmas omnibus. Meanwhile, I would suggest the following calendar adjustments be considered for considering appropriations on the House floor. So week of October 23rd this week, Energy and Water. Week of October 30th, Legislative Branch, Interior and Environment. November 6th week, FSGG and CJS, and then November 13th, Labor and HHS and Agriculture. So he says, this is an ambitious schedule, but if our speaker can work across the conference to unify our membership and build consensus, we can achieve our necessary objectives. So what that is showing right there is, first of all, he is for the single subject bills. He is trying to push the single subject bills, and he is only willing to negotiate a continuing resolution in the event where these bills are going to be considered immediately after. He understands that the Senate is not going to be happy with this at all. The Senate wants the continuing resolution. The Senate does not want to try to take up all 12 of these individual bills one at a time. And since Mike Johnson voted against the continuing resolution, it's a good sign of things to come. And I do think that Mike Johnson will push this issue. It's the most important issue because it's a systematic issue. If we can't even fix the bills themselves, if we have bills that are thousands of pages, then we can't fix anything. So this is
and this might come as a shock to a lot of you, but I actually think that's a reasonable position because you can't place all the blame on Mike Johnson. What are we? Are we even like 40 some days away from the end of this? No, not 40. It was a 45-day continuing resolution. Right. So he can't possibly fix this. He just got elected speaker. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, the idea that he's going to get all these budget bills through is probably not possible.
It's going to be tough.
As soon as I said that, I'm like, well, do your damn job. Maybe it is possible. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think these bills, I do think these bills are mostly crafted and put together for the most part.
Then do it, but whatever. But what I'm saying is
fine-tuning.
Yeah, it's just he's put in this position. But that's the thing is this is why this whole experiment's so good. Mm-hmm. He's laid it out, right? Now, if he doesn't abide by this, January 15th comes around, and it should be January 15th. Do your damn job, guys. Mm-hmm. If January 15th comes around and he doesn't abide by it, then he should be kicked out, just like McCarthy.
Right, and that's the thing. I'd even seen Gates talking about what he would need to see in order to be willing to dispense with the motion to vacate. And basically, Matt Gaetz, he had a big list of demands saying that no lobbyists or special interests anymore. All kinds of things to get money out of politics, all kinds of term limits, anti-corruption moves. So I don't think that we're going to see the motion to vacate be removed because we would have to see all of D.C. basically renovated in order for Matt Gaetz to agree to something like that. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're right. This was an experiment that Matt Gaetz successfully performed. This worked out about as good as it possibly could have because we were told all along the way that there was going to be a bunch of rhinos who were going to stick together and they were going to work with the Democrats and they were going to put Liz Cheney or some other rhino in there. That's what we were being told. Some Democrats were saying George W. Bush. But in the end, what did we get? We got a conservative alternative to Kevin McCarthy. We got someone who is more conservative, someone who is more with us on the issues of continuing resolutions and endless war. It just ended up being a phony threat by these rhinos. And I think that, I'd seen that Matt Gaetz says that he feels vindicated by this entire thing. And he should because he progressed the conservative mission a little bit further in this country. And it's all thanks to him. We wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for Matt Gaetz.
Okay, so here's where my take is. The big win here, and I kind of agree, you got a little bit more conservative a guy. That doesn't mean he's going to be a conservative speaker.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. But the win here is you got a guy that hasn't raised hundreds of millions of dollars from special interests. No one knew who Mike Johnson is. All you guys that are tuning in live right now probably tuned in because you're trying to figure out who the hell this guy is. We didn't know who this guy was, right?
Right.
So you got a guy that didn't come from the swamp. And wait till we show you these videos from Matt Gaetz. It'll show how this guy literally, I can't say he's an outsider. He has been in Congress for 7 years. So he's not a complete outsider, but he's outside that inner loop of the swamp creatures.
And it's so much nicer to get a guy from Louisiana than a guy from California. Of course McCarthy was connected to all these establishment people. He's from California. So having a guy from Louisiana, just a random guy from the South, I mean, that obviously puts us in a better position, too.
Exactly, and all the Jews are running the show. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. It's a joke. We're just having fun here, guys. Don't worry about it. Don't be so cringe. Don't whine and be so triggered by it. See, he's not. He's our Jewish guy, right? We'll run all things by. We'll run everything by Dawson here. I do think that's the lame thing is some people on our side just go to blaming Jewish people. It's like, that's a cop-out. That's an easy thing because most Jewish people are just good people, right?
Yeah.
And that's my view on the world is just most people want to do what's right for their family, for their friends, their neighbors, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So we're having fun here. It's a power struggle in D.C., and this is I can't believe anyone would argue that this isn't a complete victory against the swamp. Mm-hmm. Well, I shouldn't say complete victory, but at least a victory of some sort to swamp. Now, whether or not that means we're going to get catastrophic change, I don't think we are actually. But let's go back to the article. We got a video. This is Mike Johnson talking about the unfunded mandates of Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. Go ahead and click on this.
No one wants to eliminate the safety net programs, but the reality is they're headed towards bankruptcy. In just a few number of years, Social Security goes belly up. So does Medicare, Medicaid, all of these big spending programs, because we're drowning in debt. And so we've got to think about long-term reforms to those programs so that we can keep them. This is really an existential kind of threat to a lot of people in the country, and so we've got to work on that. They're intended to be a temporary hand up. When I mean,
all right, go ahead and cut it there.
Example,
so this is obviously something the left is going to go after Mike Johnson on. They're going to be like, oh, he's talking about how these programs are bankrupt. The left is actually in denial that these programs are underfunded, right? Mm-hmm. So, but at least he understands the problem. But does he understand the problem? Because eventually, if we don't get our fiscal house in order here, and that's what really was behind Matt Gaetz. You want to talk about the big call by Matt Gaetz, is we can't keep deficit spending because interest rates are going up and the payments on our debt balloon so high we can't fund any of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so we also have to address that ticking time bomb.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if Mike Johnson's going to do that.
And
Williams
the continuing resolution didn't address that either. It continued to put us further and further in debt. So it's nice to see that.
Well, those programs are actually outside of continuing resolutions because those are on autopilots.
Right.
Do you guys know that the government shuts down Medicare and Social Security? Don't shut down. Mm-hmm. Those are, that's like the. What do they call that? This discretion. The CRs is a discretionary spending. That's non-discretionary. Mm-hmm. Like it's on autopilot. It literally is. And, of course, Social Security, we pay for it. Both Medicare and Social Security, we pay for it. Mm-hmm. Social Security in particular, right? Medicare is so underfunded. Mm-hmm. So, okay. We got a rumble rant. We'll go clear that, and then I got another subject I want to talk about.
K-Wall for Life says, BRICS is rising. We're running a $2 trillion deficit in 2023 alone. This is unsustainable.
It's 100% unsustainable. And that's what this whole thing's about. I am not bullish on the future of America's fiscal picture. I'm just not. I don't think Mike Johnson's going to change it. I don't think anyone from D.C. was going to change this. I don't trust Congress. The best part about this experiment is Congress didn't meet for 3 weeks and spend more of our money. That's the best part. I was almost bearish on picking a new speaker, right? Because in the end of the day, they're not going to fix it. There's no appetite to fix these problems, right? Yeah. What I think the best part is we rose up. We the people. Matt Gaetz was definitely a warrior here, and he's shown there's power outside of that cabal in Washington, D.C., because McCarthy was their guy. What happens is you've done the right things, you raise all the money through special interests, and you've earned the position. This is what happens to Emmer. You don't want to admit it. Emmer raises tons of money. You can look at the Republican Party's books. You see big donors from out of the state donating to the Republican Party of Minnesota. Where do you think that came from? You think they just happen to like Minnesota politics? No. Emmer brings these people in. These guys raise tons of money from wealthy donors. Think about that for a second. Wealthy and special interest and lobbyists. That's how they raise the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars every election cycle. They're not raising it from you. That's actually one of the interesting things about Donald Trump. Love him or hate him, that guy gets funded by you. He gets funded by the grassroots. On the left, Bernie Sanders gets funded by the grassroots. The lobbyists and the special interests and the wealthiest donors buy these people. So whether it's Emmer, Scalise, or McCarthy, they earn those positions because they've been bought and paid for by these big donors and special interests. Mike Johnson hasn't raised $1 million yet.
Yeah.
He's got a safe Republican district. That's the biggest threat to these guys. Okay, now that's why I'm somewhat optimistic on Mike Johnson. Definitely an improvement. You think he might be woke. Let's play this video. Is this from Matt Walsh put on Twitter?
Yeah.
Play this video. What line is that? Line 10. There you go.
Feel when you watch the video of George Floyd being killed?
I was outraged. I don't think anyone can view the video and objectively come to any other conclusion but that it was an act of murder. And I felt that initially, as everyone did. It's so disturbing. And, you know, the underlying issues beneath that are something that the country is now struggling with. And I think it's something we have to look at very soberly and with a lot of empathy. And I'm glad to see that's happening around the country. You know, what it's taught me is we now have 4 other children of our own. And my oldest son, Jack, ironically, this year is 14. And I've thought often through all these ordeals over the last couple of weeks about the difference in the experiences between my 2 14-year-old sons, Michael being a Black American and Jack being white, Caucasian. They have different challenges. My son, Jack, has an easier path. He just does. The interesting thing about both of these kids, Michael and Jack, is they're both handsome, articulate, really talented kids, gifted by God to do lots of things. But the reality is, and no one can tell me otherwise, my son Michael had a harder time than my son Jack is going to have simply because of the color of his skin. And that's a reality. It's an uncomfortable, painful one to acknowledge. But people have to recognize that's a fact.
All right, what's your issue with what he had to say there, William?
I did not have headphones, so I'm going based off of memory when I showed you guys this video. I mean, to be fair, this was a couple of days after George Floyd
So you get an emotional
died.
reaction to
It very well could be
that
an
video is
emotional
terrible.
reaction.
Everyone looked at that video and thought it was terrible.
Well, right, and what's awful about this clip is that he says it's definitive, that this was murder, it's obvious, and no one can change his mind about it.
And he's a lawyer.
Like, that's pretty decisive. Like, he's closing the door on any skepticism, which I think is unhealthy.
He didn't say you can't change my mind on that. I don't know why you didn't bring those headphones over here, but what he was saying is you can't change my mind on that. My Black child doesn't have a harder time than his white child.
That's right. Sorry, I was just recalling what I heard earlier.
But he did rush to the murder thing, and
Yeah.
you know, there's some very big question marks. Tucker Carlson just did something about it too, which is interesting. If it really was murder on George Floyd, it was certainly something.
I see it as a combination. Like, you know, obviously it was partially due to the fentanyl, but it was also due to the fact that the cop was kneeling on his neck, which, you know, you need your neck to breathe, and you know, it obviously was a combination that, you know, first of all, he was going nuts in the cop car. They pulled him out.
Was it obvious?
Huh?
Was it obvious?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think he wasn't choking him out with his knee?
Well, that's what the that initial autopsy showed.
No, I'm not talking about the autopsy. I'm
Well, that's
saying
what cause
the
of death
video.
is.
I'm saying the video. Everybody saw
Yeah,
it.
but the cause of death, you can't murder someone unless the cause of death was something, right?
No, I know, but I'm
You
just
could
saying,
say, like, I hit that guy really hard in the head, and you'd be like, you murdered him. It's like, no, his cause of death was he died from a fentanyl overdose.
Yeah, and it's the
Not
autopsy
blunt-
said
not
that
blunt
there's
trauma to the
no
head.
there's no blunt trauma. Yeah, or no I forget the words they used.
Asphyxiation.
Yeah, something like that.
right, but I mean, he was obviously losing oxygen in the video, right?
No, because that
No?
was another thing that Liz Collins' book was talking about is he has a pattern of every time he's arrested saying, I can't breathe.
Well, sure, but obviously you would say it when you're being, you know, held down to
He was
stop
saying
you
it,
from
he was
breathing.
saying in a previous arrest, too, and that was withheld from the trial.
Here's what
By the way,
Tucker said.
I'm not taking a big stance on this. I see both sides. I'm sick of the freaking media lying to us all the time. That's what I'm
Yeah,
sick of.
yeah.
They damn lied to us on it. Derek Chauvin was guilty of something, in my opinion, but was it murder? That's the question. It seems like there's some goofiness here.
Right. I was actually listening to Bill Moorman, his lawyer, Derek Chauvin's lawyer, talk about this on Morning Wire this morning. He was also talking about how the jury, it was unfair to hold it in Minneapolis with the active protests going on, because it's very clear that the jury was influenced by the riots. They didn't want more riots to go on. It's also clear that at least some of the jury members were very partial. Jury member 52 went on a radio show after the verdict and said, yeah, I hate the Minneapolis cops. I'm glad that this came down. And, you know, they were supposed to fill out a questionnaire before saying that they had neutral feelings at best about the Minneapolis Police Department. So very clearly not a fair trial.
Yeah,
just because
I'm
of all the
seeing what Razzle
circumstances.
Dazzle says in the comments there that Chauvin is not guilty of anything. I mean, give me a break, Razzle Dazzle. I mean, come on. You know, it's like, obviously, we don't want to allow any authoritarian to, intercede on people's liberties. And I agree that George Floyd was resisting. I agree with all of that. But, it doesn't take a genius to realize that when you're kneeling on someone's neck, it's going to limit their ability to breathe. And it wasn't the right move. When you have 4 different cops all standing there, you can restrain an individual, especially an individual that is handcuffed, in many different ways without trying to choke them out.
But isn't that what he was trained to do? Isn't that part of the
That was another thing that was kept from the record. Now, once again, this goes back to this goes back to that subway. Remember the gentleman that did that in the subway? You can restrain someone by a chokehold, right? And you can actually put someone unconscious through a blood choke, right? Which is a very good blood chokes are actually pretty good. You can't hold them after they go out, because if you hold them after they go out, the blood stops to flow to the brain, which temporarily doesn't do anything. It's actually kind of funny. If you've ever been choked, that's kind of funny when you wake up, because you're just really out of it. But if you hold on to that, the blood flow stops to the brain, and a couple minutes in, you're dead. So it does matter the timeline. He
was on his neck for what, 9-10 minutes?
So someone brings this up in the Facebook comments. Lisa Scott says wasn't on his neck, and I've seen that before.
Yeah,
I've seen some people say that it was on his back, not his neck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard it both ways.
Well, let's not go down. Let's not go down the George Floyd and rehash this thing, because I want to finish this thing up on Mike Johnson. I just think we can all at least agree the corporate media lied night and day to us, right?
Yeah.
And the political figures, they lied to us. That's the whole show.
Well,
Truth hurts. The truth hurts, guys. It's not. Most of these issues are not so simple. People want to make them simple. They're not that simple, right? But we definitely got lied to on that one.
The night before the speaker race, if you turned on the media, if you were looking at CNN or any other news station, they were all saying, "I don't think Mike Johnson can get the votes. I don't think he has the votes." McCarthy still has a lot of support in the conference. Well, then when they get on the floor, it was unanimous behind Mike Johnson.
220.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to play this video. This is so insightful. This is on line 11, Dawson. Matt Gaetz, he's stormed by a bunch of reporters because we have to find out what Matt Gaetz thinks about. Credited as the architect of getting rid of the Rhino McCarthy. So here's Matt Gaetz talking about how Speaker McCarthy was actually behind the ousting of Emmer and Scalise. This is very interesting stuff.
I think is well thought of. I think he's going to be a great whip for Mike Johnson, and he deserves a lot of credit for really moving through his campaign quickly, getting to a resolution. And what Tom Emmer and Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan all saw is that the actual saboteur of their candidacies was Kevin McCarthy. Because after Tom Emmer could not achieve the requisite votes and withdrew from the campaign, Mark Molinaro, a congressman from New York, made a unanimous consent request to poll the body on whether or not Mike Johnson would be an acceptable option. And you know who objected? Kevin McCarthy. Because at that point, he hadn't figured out a way yet how to scuttle Mike Johnson the way he scuttled Tom Emmer and Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan before. So the swampy, underhanded efforts of Kevin McCarthy were exposed and they were vanquished, and that's why all Americans should be excited about the ascendance of Mike Johnson to the speakership.
There still seems to be quite a bit of bad blood inside the conference, despite this vote.
This is politics. We don't pitch under.
That's good enough. I just love it. This is politics. Oh, yeah, we're all one happy family.
Yeah.
That's a facade the Democrats give, too. We're all one big happy family. Republicans can't get their shit together. It's like, oh, my God, spare me. But that is really revealing. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense until you watch this next video, because he explains a lot more detail. And I'll just warn you, next one's like 3.5 minutes long. Trust me, it's worth watching. This is really revealing. This is pulling the curtains away so you can see what's going on. But this is what Matt Gaetz is so great about.
I wish those Republican conference meetings were on video. If we could see the inner workings of what they're really saying and doing in those, candidate forums and whatnot, that would be so interesting, because when they're in a closed door room, they're a little more free with their opinions. And when the public doesn't get to know exactly all the details of what they're saying, I would love to be in those rooms and see those discussions.
And that happens here in Minnesota, too. You're not supposed to talk about what happens in the Republican caucus or the Democrat caucus. Up in D.C., they call it conferences. Same thing. All the Republicans, all the Democrats get together in the conference or caucus together. Same term, basically. And you're not supposed to say what happens in those rooms. So Gates is going to the media and saying what happens in those rooms. I freaking love it. It reminds me of Eric Mortensen.
Yeah.
That's why they hated Eric Mortensen up here.
Nobody does that. Nobody
no
really
one does it.
that.
No, it's great. But we would never know, and that's the heroic stance that Gates has taken. It hurts him politically. K Street's not going to like him. We do. I still got to give that guy some money. I just appreciate. I have no idea if I'm fully behind Matt Gaetz in the end. I just appreciate what he's doing, and it makes sense.
Yeah, there were some people who were going after Matt Gaetz, like Laura Loomer and some others, because he was whipping these votes for Tom Emmer. Rhino Tom Emmer, and some people were saying, "What is Matt
I was
Gaetz
for
doing?"
Tom Emmer. Just
yeah,
so
I know you were for him. You wanted that to happen. No,
I mean, just think how much more influence we'd have in global politics if Tom Emmer was speaker.
Right
but,
there
in CD6.
I honestly like this reality better, where he just gets humbled in 3.5 hours.
Humbled is good too.
I think that's even
really
better
good.
reality.
We didn't talk about this because the statement came out like right after we finished the show on Tuesday.
Hey, William. Yeah. Is your mic on?
Oh, he was really onto it too. The scathing. You turned off your mic. Would you have to cough, or would you do?
I turned it off when I went over to grab the headphones.
Well, don't turn your mic off. We're on a live show. You can't turn mics on and off. What did you have? Something secret that people couldn't hear?
No, I wouldn't mind if he turned his mic off, but if he's going to sit over there, stay over there.
Well, thank God you got your headphones on, because I wouldn't even known.
Yeah, I wouldn't
All
have
right,
known
you had
either.
a very good segue. Can you keep that momentum go backwards?
So on Tuesday, we were talking about whether or not Jesse and I were arguing about whether or not Trump supported Emmer. Jesse ended up being correct, because after the show we saw.
Hold on, I'm sorry. What was that?
Yeah,
I'm only saying it once, but
that's all right.
But Trump truthed out this scathing statement about Tom Emmer,
Yeah,
calling
it was
him
right
a
after we
rhino,
were done,
saying,
so.
yeah, literally like the second we're done with the show. And Jake pulls it up on his phone. I thought he was joking because that was what we were just talking about, but no, it was a real statement. So, and then he dropped out like right after that. So that was hilarious.
Yeah, but it was us that really dropped Emmer's campaign, right? Let's just be honest. It was actually, and I'll put it this way: the grassroots movement in Minnesota did not like it.
Oh yeah,
and that was a big departure. The establishment in Minnesota, the Republican establishment, we're all praising Tom Emmer. Even Dean Phillips, I could see a path for voting for Tom Emmer. Grassroots conservatives don't like Tom Emmer, right? They know he's a rhino.
But I've been told that Michael Broadcorp was sad, and that Republicans were sad.
A lot of people are
that's
sad.
the thing. First of all, it's ridiculous to say that, because Tom Emmer's from Minnesota, we all need to get behind him. I don't give a rip where he's from. I ain't behind him, and also, it wasn't just people from Minnesota that were calling this out. You were going on Elise Stefanik's Twitter when she was congratulating Emmer. People were going vicious in the comments section there. People were replying like crazy. And Tom Emmer was the only candidate for speaker that kind of had that reaction to people, where the grassroots was saying, oh, hell no, we're not behind him. And so, it was kind of nice to see that the grassroots stepped up in that moment. People were going out there talking to other representatives and politicians, telling them, do not get behind Emmer. Emmer, maybe I don't know him. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't care though. It's like, it's about the principle of liberty. If you're not going to be in there to try to fight for our freedom, and if it's just going to be business as usual, if you're just going to fund these endless wars, I want nothing to do with you.
Exactly. Okay, let's go to this video. This is really worth listening to. We're gonna play the whole clip. This is on Steve Bannon's. What is it called? The War Room. What you're going to get here is some real behind the scenes, how shit works. It's going to be redundant to what we just showed you, but it's going to go more in detail, and I really want you to see this. So let's go ahead and play this video.
Mark Molinaro, a moderate New York freshman Republican, stands up at the microphone and says, well, instead of restarting this process and having a candidate forum and sending everybody home for a good cry, let's just take a non-binding poll on where people would be on the person who came in second to Tom Emmer, and that was Mike Johnson. And Elise Stefanik said, well, that's against the rules. The rules don't contemplate it. We can't do that. And brilliantly, Mark Molinaro says, then I move for unanimous consent that the rules be waived and we take a poll on whether or not Mike Johnson could be our speaker nominee. And guess who objects to that unanimous consent request? Kevin McCarthy.
Who was that?
Kevin McCarthy stands up and erupts. and says, I object to doing a roll call on Mike Johnson. And Mike Johnson was exasperated. All the times Johnson had voted for McCarthy, had carried his water, maybe even voted for some bills he didn't like because he was working toward the Republican conference's stated objectives under McCarthy. And here was the thing. It showed everyone that it was actually McCarthy who was working to knife Scalise. It was actually McCarthy who was working to knife Jim Jordan. It was McCarthy working to knife everyone, and he hadn't yet figured out a way to knife Mike Johnson. And so he was worried that there was going to be this great unifying moment, and he scuttled the unifying moment. So because of McCarthy's objection, we had to have this 3-hour delay. And, candidates announce again, have another forum. And guess what happens during that delay, Steve? Patrick McHenry runs to the House floor, opens it up out of recess, and then adjourns till noon today. Now, why did he do that? Because they were setting up a play to block Mike Johnson with write-in votes in the intra-conference process for Kevin McCarthy. They were promising people hearings on their favorite legislation, passage of bills. I heard people promised, maybe you'll get a chairmanship. And the play was for McCarthy to return as speaker, and then Jim Jordan to be the deputy speaker in some sort of like Dwight Schrute assistant to the regional manager posture. And that would have been debasing to Jordan, someone I like a great deal, and it would have been empowering to McCarthy. So Garrett Graves and all these people are working to try to effectuate this return of McCarthy. And they're telling us there are going to be 100 votes for McCarthy on the write-in. You know how many there were? 33 on the first write-in. So they flame out terribly. Mike Johnson's gaining momentum. Ultimately, McCarthy gets 43 to vote for him on a secret ballot, but Mike Johnson gets a majority, and then he says, you know what I want? I want a roll call vote, so that those 43 would have to announce themselves as being for a candidate who wasn't even running instead of a unifying force like Mike Johnson. And when we called for the roll call, do you know how many people voted for Kevin McCarthy? 0.
I bet Stauber was one of those 43 who wrote him.
Yeah, you think Stauber was part of that play, right? He was against Jim Jordan.
Right.
Yeah, so there you go. That's how shit gets done in D.C. That's how corrupt these people are. Now, can Mike Johnson overcome that? I don't know, but all I know is the establishment had a plan. Did I say that on the show, or did I say that in that thread where I kind of thought McCarthy was behind this stuff? It seemed a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Because it was interesting that Jim Jordan took his chances to the floor, but neither Emmer or Scalise did. I was like, what is going on here?
Right. And, that's the thing, it was a big deal when McCarthy endorsed Emmer, but did he really support him? That's the big question. He may have publicly been saying, oh, yeah, we need Emmer. Emmer's a good guy. But in those private conversations, what was he saying to other members? That's the big question. We don't really know. But it's interesting to see that McCarthy was the one who was behind all of this, that McCarthy was the one who was trying to halt the show, that McCarthy was the one who was trying to return to power, that McCarthy was the one who was trying to denigrate Jim Jordan and make sure that Jim Jordan was just, like Matt Gaetz has said, they're just a Dwight Schrute for him, and it's just crazy that Kevin McCarthy was the one who, so desperate for power, he was willing to, do anything he could to try to get one last shot at being the speaker. And I'm so happy the Republican conference rejected that and gave Mike Johnson a chance. It's a fresh start. There's a lot to see with Mike Johnson, but I'm holding out hope right now.
We'll see. Well, really good summary on Mike Johnson. I like that. I appreciate that article you wrote. We'll have that posted up here shortly. Dawson, go to actionforliberty.com for people. Once again, if you like this episode, make sure you hit like on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, however you're watching it. That includes you, Mom, who's apparently on Facebook right now. Also, click on actionforliberty.com on the Christmas event. This is going to be a fun time. You get to see us. This is the nice thing. If you look at a lot of conservative groups out there, their events, their dinners, they cost a lot of money. Like, you're usually not finding tickets for under $100, $125. Not only are we going to feed you dinner, okay, maybe it doesn't have the little garnish on the side looking great because it's going to be buffet. It's going to be damn good. By the way, I did ask if we could get that taste testing on Monday, so might get you guys free lunch. But you also automatically get registered to win many different firearms. So there's the benefit, right? We're not selling raffle tickets. You just buy your ticket. You might win a non-Biden approved AR-15. So go to Action for Liberty right now. Click on that. We don't make a ton of money just on the the actual tickets of the event, because obviously we're giving away a lot of fun stuff. But we have a fun auction, so if you feel very charitable, bid high on some of those things, including our State Fair poster, or sorry, State Fair sign. What's
Brad
so funny?
Ganser says, I will be bringing my fantastic, I'll fix it for you, Brad. You say fantastic points. I think you meant fantastic points.
Brad
right?
Ganser, I want to see you buy
To
a
the
table.
Christmas party.
I want to see you buy a table at that event. $1,000 table, comes with wine service. That might be dangerous for Brad, but
Does it actually come with wine?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, unlimited wine.
Seriously?
What?
I'm telling you, we don't make a lot of money off the ticket part. I just hope people get real charitable when it comes to the auction, because it's a damn good auction. And I think Lori Bishofsky's doing her specially designed cookies again. And I think Lisa and Steve are going to do probably a wine basket. I didn't talk to them about that. I think they're going to do it.
Lori do Stars of David for the cookies.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. If I could laugh
knew you were
harder, I
gonna
would right
glance
now.
over here.
Go back to actionforliberty.com, Dawson. Click on that article there. It says only 4% of Americans have received the new COVID booster shot. And this is some good news here. So there's Tim Walz. That's actually, I don't think that's Tim Walz getting the booster shot. Now, I was away. I was in Montana on my elk hunting trip when he did his very public media appearance to get the flu shot and the COVID. And I watched your guys' show, but I'm wanting to remember if I got this right.
He didn't get the COVID one because the COVID one didn't come in time, right?
Okay.
And you know, yeah, there was conspiracies. Was this all planned? You know, why did he not get it? I don't know, but yeah, he didn't get the COVID shot, at least on that day.
Okay, so we assume he did because he's just doing the great job as Pfizer's political salesman. But you got President Joe Biden and the CDC and Tim Walz saying, go get your booster. Now, what's interesting about Florida's Surgeon General says don't get the booster shot. There's no human trials showing that it's effective or safe. Okay? So not everyone's bought into this bullshit, but you guys know our opinion on Pfizer and COVID, and this will probably get us taken off YouTube today too, right? Because we are quoting the Florida Surgeon General, but YouTube's going to have this as medical misinformation. Do your own research, right? Most people are, or most people, maybe they're not even doing their own research. I'm giving too much credit. Most people are just damn skeptical of the lying corporate media and the politicians who've been telling us one thing. And so we find that only 3.6% of the population, 12 million people, have gotten the shot in the first 5 weeks since it hit the pharmacy shelves. Now, that's in great, you got to go back to 2021 when it was rolled out. It would have been way higher numbers back then, right? So people are just not buying into it. Now, that's only 5 weeks in. The CDC believes that they're going to hit the 17% that they hit last year, or the last booster shot. So it'll trend up. But even if you take last year's 17%, to me that says they're just not buying it. I don't care if you put Travis Kelce on TV showing me that he's getting the booster and I should get the booster. We're not buying this bullshit. And when I talk to people that really aren't connected to politics, I don't know if this ever comes up with you guys in your social circles, it's like none of these guys buy it. They're like, yeah, right. Why would I? My one buddy's like, so I went to the doctor and the doctor goes, you want to get the COVID booster? And he said, I laughed at him. I'm like, people are still doing that?
Right.
And by the way, you started wondering about
the people that got the
shots.
vaccine initially, the ones that got it and maybe even a booster or two after, even a lot of those people are saying, all right, enough with this. So I do think that most of America's turned the page on this.
Yeah. That's my experience. I got the vaccination, the good one, whichever. The
Johnson & Johnson is what you're saying.
There you go. That one. I got that one, and I haven't gotten a booster. Not because of any political view or whatever. I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
I haven't made my way.
I wasn't going to say, but Dawson is the only vaccinated one in the studio. So there you go.
You guys knew that.
I saw this hilarious meme this morning. I don't think I shared this with people. I think it was my neighbor that sent it to me. He sends me the best ones. No, it wasn't him. Shoot, where did that come from? It was like a picture of a grave marker, and it said blah 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 died saving you or protecting you from COVID or something like that. The vaccinated person, something like that. I can't remember it. Got vaccinated to save you. It's pretty funny. All right. Anyhow, 4%. That is, in my opinion, a fantastic news story, and it shows to me that groups like us telling the truth, even though YouTube is most likely going to take this episode down because we even dare talk about this, the people are starting to listen and understand that this stuff is bullshit, and the Anthony Fauci's of the world are losing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they still capture 17%. Listen, you're never going to win 100%. There are 33% of the population that are going to always vote far left wing. They don't believe the rights come from God. They believe them come from government. So quite frankly, if we're under 33%, I'm pretty damn impressed. You know, that you don't even get to that 33%. So 17%, that's to me a big victory. Because when you look at the vaccination rates during 2021, it was like amongst the elderly population, 65 and above, it was like 94%. And this is not even really mandate oriented. You get to 40s and plus, I think it was like 65% or something like that. Luckily, it never got really high with the young generations, the young kids. You got some comments to read?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. Well, first of all, I feel bad because Mort commented forever ago on Facebook.
He was going to be here today. He's under the weather too, apparently.
Did you give it to him when you guys?
No, I didn't give it to him. That's like Bridget blaming me 3 weeks later.
Yeah. So he said, so MAGA Jesse likes MAGA Mike. Can you confirm that? MAGA Jesse likes MAGA Mike?
So far, so good. I mean, I got some problems with him, but overall, I'm staying hopeful and optimistic about it. You know, obviously, we'll still see on it, but so far, I like MAGA Mike.
All right. Razzle Dazzle says, the great pushback, let's keep it going, chipping away at restoring some shreds of liberty.
I love it, the great pushback, exactly.
Napkinator79 says, arrest Fauci, free Owen. Owen Troyer, right?
Yep.
Tucker91 asks, anyone else having streaming issues? I hope it's not on my end. Dawson, that's tossed at you.
There's nothing going on our end, but Rumble, as is known to be a little laggy.
Brad insists that it is Tucker. So, Joe Mart said the stream glitched once for me about 20 minutes ago. So, and K Walls says no buffering issues here. So
that was actually just everybody stuttering at once, and it was weird. It happened live. It was weird to see.
Wait, you're saying that all of us were talking and we all stuttered, or?
Yeah.
Is that actually what you're saying, or is that a joke?
I'm joking.
Okay. Because I could see that happening with this group.
It's your line, dude. It's not mine.
All right. Let's see here.
I was going to be quiet, just make it as uncomfortable as it could be. Just staring at you like, okay, go on. Let's see what this is all about.
I don't know. Usually people pick up.
Let's go to the next story. This is not so great of a story. It looks like there's a mass shooting in Maine. Pull up this article. This is from, let's see, the Daily Mail.
For future reference, I hope we get to use this website all the time, because you can hardly tell like what the news story is.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I feel bad because you're gonna get semi-pornographic stuff on the right. They definitely know that chicks in bikinis are clickbait. You're gonna get the cookies. So it looks like Dawson likes kitty cats. He's like Andy Parrish in that regard.
Freaking apparently.
The title's like a paragraph long too.
The title's a paragraph long, but they write good stories. I like the way they write, but yeah, it is clickbaity. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. I got the cat on mine too. There's no way I'm looking up cats.
Dawson might, but Jake, heck no.
Oh,
I'm definitely not.
I love
but
my
see, the
husband
muscle shirt is why I was
perfect.
like, this is it. And then it says, I love my husband. Got something to tell us there, Dawson? All right.
Funny.
Anyhow, all joking aside, revealed Maine massacre gunman Robert Card was committed to a mental hospital. Oh, well, first of all, you guys know the story at this point. My wife was telling me this late last night. So basically, maniac with a gun shot up a bunch of different places. And to this point, I think he's still on the run. Let me just make sure I got this update. But I think he's still at large. They haven't found him. Manhunt is still underway. So he starts at a bowling alley, then he moves to, I think it was a shipping yard or something like that. Not shipping yard, a distribution center. I think it was Walmart distribution center. It was reported he had 22 people dead. I think that's been revised now to 18 people dead. And then many, many more injured. This article says 60 injured. Here's what we know about the guy. Name's Robert Card. He's 40 years old. He's a firearms instructor. Okay. Now I'm always like, this is how politics work. I'm just going to admit this is how it works, guys. It's not me. This is how it works. Mm-hmm. Who is this guy? Find me the first thing that says he loves Trump. When you got a wacko that attacks Paul Pelosi in his house, the first thing they run to is this guy was a Trump supporter. He was some crazy wacko who lived in a communist commune, or hippie commune. But they found something that made it seem like he likes Trump. So the fact this guy was a firearms instructor is going to not bode well because they're going to try to tie this guy to right-wing politics, clearly, right? Mm-hmm. He also apparently was in the Army Reserves. It's not understood if he was reservist firearm instructor or it was a separate role. And, of course, this is just the natural way things get reported. The stories are just not congruent.
And do we know any kind of motive?
We don't apparently know any motive, but this is what was interesting. This is why I brought up this story. Is this gentleman, Robert Card, it looks like we do actually have the shooter who police have warned is armed and dangerous is a first class sergeant. That's not a rank. Sergeant first class, is that what he was? That means he was pretty high up. That's an E7. Has been awarded the Army Achievement Medal, Humanitarian Services, National Service, Army Service Ribbon, and 2 Army Reserve Component Achievement Medals. Sounds like he hasn't deployed. So here we go. Card, who has reportedly ties to Massachusetts, grappled with mental health issues, recently reporting, quote, hearing voices and threatening to shoot up a military base. He was committed to an institution for 2 weeks. In a criminal background check retrieved by local media suggests that in 2007, he was charged with a misdemeanor offense for operating under the influence, which he was found guilty of. I think that's good enough. This guy seemed to be a maniac. Now, was this guy also medicated? I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. Sounds like this guy might have been medicated. But this is a maniac, and this is also going to be the beginning, as you guys know in this audience, the call for taking our firearms. Mm-hmm. This guy's still at large. Mm-hmm. Okay, now it's not a ding on law enforcement. Okay, we got great men and women in law enforcement, but you can't count on people in law enforcement protecting you and your family. The one thing that can protect you and your family is you. We want good people with firearms. I don't care what kind of firearm this guy had. They call it a high-powered assault rifle, most likely an AR-15, which is not high-powered. But whatever it is, they're going to try to take away the AR-15 from you and me. We have nothing to do with this, and it's not even just protecting ourselves from maniacs like this, because imagine you're in the search area, and this is Lewiston, Maine, so this is like just north of Portland, Maine. This is up there. This is ways up there. This is like basically happening in like Duluth, Minnesota. That'd be probably just outside Duluth, Minnesota. That'd be like the example. Like this guy's outside of Hibbing, right? I think Lewiston's probably close to Hibbing. Imagine you're up there, and this man's on the loose. The last thing in the world you want to be is without a firearm to protect you and your family, because you goddamn right I'm going to be carrying my firearm, right?
So, and if he's killing indiscriminately, you definitely want to be armed.
100%.
Yeah. Well, that's why we know the legislature is going to move for banning quote-unquote assault weapons this next session. Like, it's almost a guarantee at this point. The bow tie man, I forget his name. Who's the guy with the bow tie?
Patrick McHenry?
The guy about Minnesota?
Yeah.
John Marty.
John Marty, you know he's going to be making a move on your guns.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I bet it'll pass, too.
Maybe.
Now, maybe the courts will strike it down. I know in Illinois they tried something similar, and that didn't work out too well. But, like, that's how Democrats lose the majority in both the state House and the state Senate.
Right.
Like, especially in the outside areas. Napkin Nader sent us a Rumble rant, $10. He says, I reserve all Chauvin judgment until I see Liz Collins' new video, Fall of Minneapolis. I've heard that it's going to be good. I mean, we may have...
How did you hear it was going to be good?
Well, I don't know. I heard it was filmed at a good location.
Like that, like you got some inner scoop. I heard it's good.
Well, they literally filmed it here.
I know.
That's what I was getting at. What I was getting at.
Yeah, actually, I was giving Liz crap because they used our studio, and when she had a conversation with Derek Chauvin, she wanted a sky or a ceiling view, a sky view, whatever you want to call it. Is it sky view? Is that what it's called, Dawson? Basically, a view down. So she overtook my this table is in the documentary.
Yeah, it's in the trailer.
My beloved desk that I picked out, and Liz Collins took it over. How dare her?
You should have wood burnt your name into it so that people know whose it is.
What I do appreciate about Liz Collins is she goes places other journalists aren't willing to go. And that's what I like. And so I'm very...
The Liberty office.
What?
She goes other places, other journalists.
Oh, I see what you did there. That was good. That was very good. None of these guys come to this place. By the way, I welcome all the haters. Come on our show.
J.
You
Patrick
can zoom in.
Houlihan.
Yeah, you can zoom in or come in the studio. I'd love to talk to you. I literally will talk to anyone. I don't mind. They never do. They never do.
Yep.
There's so much trash talkers that they're a bunch of wusses, right? All
So
right.
true.
Where was I going with this? Napkinator. That's what you get. Rebel Rant. You can take us off the topic. Now let me try to maneuver back to topic. Are we still talking about Maine? Yeah, the shooter. This is going to be the call for, assault weapons ban.
Yes.
Whatever the hell an assault weapon is. So just get ready for that. Luckily, it's not children involved. At least I haven't seen any things about children. But, death is death. Let's go to...
Tucker says, so is Jake saying that his table is more famous than him? I mean, yeah, when this documentary comes out, yeah, your table will be. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were offended by that.
I didn't realize it was Pick on Jake Day today. I'm going to put this down. October 26th, my buddy Nick Keckler's birthday, Hillary Clinton's birthday, and Pick on Jake Day. All right, got it. Make sure it's in my calendar so it never misses me again. You were the one that told us it's the anniversary of that famous tweet, right?
Yeah, the Hillary Clinton birthday tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday to this future president.
Which is so weird to put that about yourself. It's so weird.
Well, it's obviously like a campaign staffer or something.
Yeah, of
but
course.
It just looks weird. Yeah.
Well, don't you remember? I think this came up on Facebook. It was some representative. I want to say he was like a Woodbury representative. And on his campaign page, it said something like, Representative what Sonny did this. And then the first comment was, Representative Sonny's doing a great job. And it was from the same account.
Yeah.
So it was clearly a staffer that just didn't log into, their own account. But so it looks like he's just talking to himself. It's like, that's how these guys think of themselves. It's so true. All right. I want to bring this up here. Let's talk about Israel for a second. Because once again, our freaking mainstream media has lost their ever-loving mind, and the uniparty is all, Ukraine. Or sorry, did I say Ukraine? Israel. Israel can do no wrong. Okay, now this is our take. This is our hot take, if you will, William. Israel can do wrong. We don't want to see innocent people dying. Okay, now it's a nuanced opinion. You can't have nuanced opinion these days. They want all your opinions right in here. You can't deviate from there. But we say you can't just go bomb and get rid of Gaza. Now, everyone knows, well, not everyone. There are some wacko jobs that literally are supporting Hamas or cheering for Hamas. It's crazy. And I don't necessarily think it's those protesters that tried beating up that old man. I think those are just anarchists. They're gleaning on any issue that they can, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the mainstream media is lying to you, and they go, look at all these pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas protesters. No, a lot of them just don't want innocent people dying, just like us, okay? Okay, so
it's just like Black Lives Matter. There were some people there who were going to, BLM protests who were just like, yeah, I mean, we want less government. We want the police to respect people's rights. We don't want, just that they didn't want to see another George Floyd situation. But, it gets overtaken by the extremists and the people who want to burn down the police precinct. And then that's the story. That's what, that's the narrative of what the protesters want, even though 90% of them would have never done anything like that.
Yeah. So, all right. So if you can buy it, and I know our audience has been with us on this, we're talking about how there's a lot of nuances. This one I found real interesting. It came up on my YouTube feed. Breaking Points. I like watching Breaking Points. It's like the neutral media that I could at least accept. They're not so bought. Let's just put it this way. They're not just banging the war drums like the rest of the corporate media, okay?
They're really thinking for themselves. Sometimes they're wrong, but at least they're thinking for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're wrong often, but they think for themselves. I like that, yeah. Sagar, I think, is very talented. So this thing came up with Jocko. Now, if you guys don't know who Jocko is, just imagine if you had imagined a war hero Navy SEAL commander. Just close your eyes for a second and picture what that guy looks like. That's Jocko. Jocko Willink's his name. True American patriot. I don't know what Jocko thinks on politics in general. I think he's probably more on our side. He's a Navy SEAL commander, a former Navy SEAL commander from the Battle of Ramadi in Iraq. But I'll tell you this, and as a guy that's served overseas and led troops overseas, I definitely haven't done as much as that guy. And that guy, I can tell, was a good leader, okay? And from what I could tell in the overall military community, very reputable, very well respected. So this was a very interesting take. This is a segment of Breaking Points where they listen to audio of Jocko on a podcast. And this explains the difficulties of this. So when you listen to the mainstream, when you listen to Nikki Haley say, we just need to start bombing them, write the blank check to Israel, they act as if there's no nuance to this. Well, here's a reason there's a nuance to this conversation from a guy that would know what he's talking about. Let's go ahead and roll this clip.
Were there timestamps for this one? Jake?
What's that?
Were there timestamps for this one?
Just play it from the beginning. That's fine.
Podcast by Jocko Willink and Daryl Cooper. They do a podcast called Jocko, The Unraveling. And Daryl, in particular, he has a Twitter account called Martyr Made, and he has a podcast as well, which is fantastic. I highly recommend it. They have been sounding off with some of the most sane takes from analytical and strategic historical perspective that I've heard yet. And I actually wanted to play some of this audio where Jocko, who served as an officer in the Battle of Ramadi in Iraq, has extensive experience with urban combat, gave some advice on how he would handle the current situation in Gaza if he was Israel. And it was so unlike anything that I've heard yet before. I wanted to play for everybody. Let's take a listen.
That immediate military action that they took was really good. It was a good, solid military action that they took quickly. At this juncture, I think it's going to be, and I think I would, like you said, I already kind of said what I'd be doing. I would probably stop bombing Gaza right now. There's people in tunnels. The enemy's, you're not killing bad guys at this juncture with airstrikes. So what you're doing is just destroying the city, and you're giving Hamas opportunities to win the information operations. If I was Emperor of Israel right now, we would be annihilating on the information operations. We would be doing humanitarian missions.
You showed me a video of the aftermath of some strikes on Hamas. It was just, a wasteland. And the first thing I thought, whenever I see something like that, as somebody who has combat experience as a soldier, when you see a landscape like that, knowing that there's tunnels throughout the area and everything, what are you thinking when you look at that?
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And that's why, even, again, going to the Emperor position, I would not be super excited to roll in there and start hunting for Hamas with my troops. I'm going to take a lot of casualties. I'm going to take a ton of... You want to start talking about clearing, what do they say, 300 miles of tunnels is what's down there? Yeah. 300 miles of tunnels. 300 miles of tunnels. This, to me, turns into siege warfare. And I start doing siege warfare with this overarching idea of benevolence to take care of the civilian populace and show them that we will help. We are here. We want to figure out a peaceful solution to this. We're going to help you out, and we're going to starve and crush Hamas. And you don't want to get starved and crushed? Cool.
All right, that's good enough.
Come to this location at this time.
So what I like about this video, or this basically audio from a podcast, I don't know the gentleman that he does the podcast with, which is really awesome. Jocko has his own podcast. This is a tricky environment. And so when you listen to the figureheads, and let's just be honest, let's be perfect. The truth hurts sometimes, right? It's a lot of the people on the Republican stage, and it's also the Joe Biden cabinet. Mm-hmm. Basically send as many rockets into the Gaza Strip, blow up things. Now, I don't know. Is the hospital, did that really blow up? I mean, will we ever get to the bottom of a lot of stuff? I don't know. But no doubt they're causing damage, right? Indiscriminately in some regards.
Yeah, and Joe Biden's not the strategist. Joe Biden has no idea what he's doing at all. It's like he's just providing weapons. He has no idea the strategic thing. And, I'd seen what Netanyahu said that, this is a battle between light versus dark. This is a battle between good versus evil. And, I've seen even American politicians describing it in that way. And what that shows me is, once you determine what is good, they can do no evil. And once you determine what is evil, they can do no good, which is, a terrible framing for this kind of situation. It skews the way that, if we're ever going to negotiate a way towards peace, how are you supposed to negotiate towards peace if an entire group of people is evil? It doesn't make any sense.
I love what you're saying because that's exactly what the left does. That's right out of the leftist playbook right here. Okay, you call someone a Nazi. Okay, you're a Trump. Your MAGA people are Nazis. Actually, and this is what's so dangerous about Biden. MAGA extremists are the largest danger to America. Right?
Yeah.
They're the biggest threat to America. Literally, the president of the United States saying a speech like that. So if MAGA extremists or MAGA Republicans, in fact, that's what Biden says, MAGA Republicans, if they're Nazis, a Nazi is evil, right? A Nazi is evil. So if it's an evil person, a MAGA Republican's a Nazi, and a Nazi is evil, you can punch an evil person. You can kill an evil person. So when you draw those lines, the acts against those people is justified. That's right out of the leftist playbook.
Right, and that's what they want to do to Palestine. Of course, Hamas. Anyone who's committing horrible actions, to kill innocent people. Of course, they're a terrorist. Of course, they're evil. But to just blatantly label anyone who lives over there, anyone who is maybe even forced to be involved and whatnot. It's just one of those things. Putting those labels of good and evil on everything, it simplifies it. It's like Netanyahu and these others are treating us like we're stupid, and that we can't think for ourselves, that we can't analyze the entire situation, and that if we just want peace, that we're a part of Team Evil. It's like, I'm a part of Team Good. I know it.
Right, exactly. All right, let's close out with some comments before I do. Go back to actionforliberty.com. Go buy your tickets to the Christmas event. I just noticed while we were doing the show, we already had 3 tickets get sold, which is fantastic. At that rate, we're going to have to expand the doors or expand the room. And, the more people that buy tickets, the more guns we give away, just FYI. This is going to be really triggering to the left. So the more people that come to our event, the more guns we give away. Because quite frankly, the way we look at it is we want good conservative grassroots people armed. We want you protected. And by the way, I want you also to learn how to use those firearms, okay? And all you guys are. You're responsible gun owners. So come as more people that sign up for this event. At this rate, we would be actually almost a new venue. So there you go. At this rate, we'll be expanding. I think we're giving away 3 or 4 guns. It'd be like much more at that rate. So anyhow, go to actionforliberty.com, pick up your tickets. Let's go to comments and finish the show out.
Our American Soul says Minnesota loves Jake D.
Well, I mean, Jake D loves Our American Soul. I mean, that's just as simple as that. This is his or her. I think it's a her. I always assume gender. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like the light blue, although Napkinator is a light blue. Well, give us your gender, American Soul. We don't know who these people are until we see it.
Napkinator 79 says, "Don't piss off Mama Jake." Razzle Dazzle says, "Lewistown, Maine is not as far north as St. Paul." Tucker 91.
Well, hey, what I meant by that was like just meaning like it's on the outskirts of. It's like up north, but it's in the outskirts of like a big city. Like St. Paul would be not a good comparison because it's so big. It's a big metro area. That's what I was trying to say by that.
Tucker 91 says, "The problem with Jocko's take is that any aid given will ultimately end up in the hands of Hamas."
I'm not saying I fully agree with his take. What I'm saying about Jocko's opinion is just how complex this environment is. And I think we said this on the show. I'm always conflating what I've said on like some of our threads in the show, but I'm pretty sure we said this in the show. We're not considering the blowback. Yeah, we definitely said this on the show. If you bomb a hospital, you bomb an apartment building, and clearly they've done this, and you kill my children, you have now made an enemy of me. Yeah, we did say this in the show because I couldn't remember the name, the movie or the show Terminal List, the book series by Jack Carr, played by Chris Pratt on Amazon. But the only time we'll pimp out Amazon on this show, but. That's what happens is basically kill his family and he turns on the government. It's a great book. Okay. Yeah. So you're making more enemies. You're losing the IO campaign, information operations. Anyone that served overseas in my generation knows all about this, right? You got to win the hearts and minds of the people. And you don't do that by just bombing everything and turning all these civilians, all the innocent people against you. It's a very complex environment. If you want to read the manual on counterinsurgency, you'll understand it's completely different than marching tanks across open battlefields. That has complexity too. Don't get me wrong. It's not like D-Day's invasion was easy to plan. But D-Day's invasion was uniform on uniform, ground, sea, and air, right? This is not so simple, right? You're going amongst a civilian population. It's a way different story.
Andy Parrish, RF, says, okay, all joking aside, how do you negotiate with people cut heads off of babies, people who cut heads off of babies and kill innocent
Well, I'm
people?
not surprised that Andy fell hook, line, and sinker for that damn fake story about the beheading the 40 children.
Well, hold on.
But he still makes a good point.
You don't know that it's fake. You
I
also don't
almost
know that
guarantee
it's real.
that's a fake story. But he still makes a decent point.
CNN retracted it.
CNN retracted it. Yeah, it's not been validated. Listen, let's not get down there. I don't believe that story, but he's still making a good point. There are people killing innocent lives. Hamas was a terrorist organization killing. You don't negotiate with them. That's the simple answer with it. There's no real negotiation there. When you take up arms or you do these atrocities, you do want to kill these people. The point is you don't just kill them by having all this collateral damage. Collateral damage happens in war no matter what, but you need to limit that as much as possible. You certainly don't target civilian populations. And it seems like the only opinion come from the war hawks is, well, what are you going to do? They put their Hamas headquarters in civilian locations. That's the explanation. We'll kill 100 innocent people because it's Hamas's fault and their headquarters are in an apartment building.
There's Israelis that are saying, "Why are you bombing in this way?" You know, it's like, what if the hostages are there? What if our families are there? You know, there's innocent people that are dying because of the bombs that Israel is dropping, and you know, it seems as if strategically that, you know, there's some better ways of going about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not sure how to negotiate with Hamas. I don't know if there is an answer on how to do that. I mean, you do need to fight them, but yeah, it's one of those things that I don't know how you negotiate with it, and you just got to set the example of, you know, the right thing to do.
Other comments? That's it?
Pretty much it.
Andy gets the final say of the show?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we want to go over it, but I sent an email to Dawson that has a bunch of different tweets from Elise Stefanik, and you know, just how she was congratulating. A lot of people were saying it was the curse of Elise Stefanik, how she was congratulating everybody who was running for speaker, and how you know, it just shows that is not what you ever want to become. You never want to become the Elise Stefanik who goes along with anything. You know, if you're an activist who just goes along with anything, and it doesn't matter who the Republican is, it doesn't matter anything like that. If you're just an Elise Stefanik that, you know, yep, just like that. So that was against Tom Emmer. Congratulations to him for speaker. Go to the next one. There was the one for Mike Johnson. Go to the next. McCarthy, and one more, Jim Jordan. So, you know, at least, you know, even though
she looks the part, too. That's the
oh yeah,
I'm just the biggest cheerleader.
Tom Emmer, he might not have been able to be speaker, but he at least got a tweet from Elise Stefanik congratulating him. So, you know, it just shows that, you know, Elise Stefanik is such a puppet. She'll go with anything. And
but you know who's even bigger is your gal. What's her name? Marjorie Taylor
MTG?
Greene. No, yeah.
I disagree. Worse. No. MTG is.
No,
I
literally
person.
saw her the other day with like a selfie with Mike Johnson. She did that with McCarthy. It's even worse.
Well, yeah.
She goes and gets a selfie on the House floor. It's just like, God, how old are you?
Yeah, no, I mean, but a lot of, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of selfies either. You know, I saw Matt Rosendale doing that too, with Mike Johnson immediately after. So,
well, Matt's just trying to, you know, appeal to the youngsters.
Well, that's what MTG's doing then.
We do have another comment if you want to take it on.
Do we dare? I don't know.
It's Dragon Eyes 001. And I say this with all sincerity.
Okay.
You have to be stupid. Hamas killed 1,000 civilians, the civilian cars full of bullets and set on fire, and you want to excuse them because one story isn't made public. Who is this clown?
Well,
let me read that comment again because I'm not making sure you didn't make a great point.
The last line again. You want
Hamas
to
killed 1,000 civilians. The civilians' cars full of bullets and set on fire, and you want to excuse them because once. See, this is the idiocracy.
Yeah, I'm not excusing
idiocracy
them.
of the public discourse that the media wants you to have.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because we don't want a bunch of innocent people killed in Gaza, then you must be supporting Hamas. Like, open your head there for a second. I mean, this could just be a troll, so I'm playing right into it. You know, I don't know this person. What is it?
Well, we don't have to attack them individually,
yes.
right? Like,
okay, we'll say it to all the people, because this might just literally be a troll. Actually, is Andy still in the thread? Maybe Andy jumped off and has his fake thread. That would be an Andy move.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I actually managed to do a little bit of searching for this guy because he's a known dude. We've got a few pictures of him up right here.
There you go, Dawson with his jokes.
That's good.
Okay.
No, it literally, regardless if this is a real person, this is literally what's happening with the discourse. Is that because you challenge it and Israel can't, like, possibly you could challenge Israel. By the way, Israel's a government, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much anti these governments and these rulers, these elites. Then you must be pro Hamas. Who's pro Hamas other than these numbnuts? I don't even know. Like Chicago Black Lives Matter. I'm not even sure these guys really care about Hamas in the end. They just want chaos.
Yeah,
like, you got to be insane to be pro Hamas.
Because number one, we never excused Hamas for anything, and it wasn't about a story not getting reported. We were saying that it was a fake story. So appreciate the comment, but you're wrong.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's doubting the story of them attacking the music festival.
Yeah,
definitely atrocities there. I just think that beheading, the baby beheading, we called that one, is phony. There's a lot of phony news out there. You have to be vigilant on that.
Mm-hmm.
Before we sign off, what the hell was this movie you guys brought up before this? Is it worth?
Oh, I forgot about this.
Oh, I didn't forget. I'm ready.
What is this thing?
So
we're gonna watch our view count drop.
here's a trailer for the movie that you guys all need to go.
No, hold on.
see.
What is the movie called? Because you said,
Yep.
Are we gonna go watch something Freddy? And I was like, what are you even talking about?
It's called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay, and all I know about Freddy's is it sounds like that burger joint, the sirloin burger.
It's close. It's pizza. It's a pizza place.
Okay.
Hi, this is Mike. I was just calling to see if that job that you offered was still available.
Yes. The security guard.
I will take anything.
This place was huge in the 80s with the kids. They shut it down years ago. The owner's just not ready to let it go yet.
I will work.
Oh, I know what this is.
I understand.
Give me your hand.
All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's, where fantasy and fun come to life.
Okay.
You must be new security guard.
Can I help you, officer?
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Them. In the 80s, kids went missing. The police searched Freddy's top to bottom.
Hello?
They never found them. That's why the place shut down.
There are ghost children possessing giant robots. Thanks for the heads up.
Technically, they're animatronics.
What do they want?
They want to make her like them.
Pappy! Tell me how to stop them.
It's too late.
Robbie, go!
See, this is the kind of...
Why do I always get the weirdos?
This is the kind of trailer I hate that spoils the... It laid out the entire plot for you. You know what happens. There's no reason to see it now.
What do you mean?
We didn't lose the audience, by the way. I knew what this was because I saw a trailer come up, I think on a YouTube video my wife and I were watching, or Monday Night Football or something like that. She's like, oh, PETA from Hunger Games, right?
Exactly.
That's who that is.
Yep.
And do you guys understand where this idea comes from? Because you guys are about 20 years younger than me. But, it's obviously Chuck E. Cheese, which used to be called Showbiz Pizza.
Yeah.
It's funny that you ask us if we know where it comes from. Because
No, but do you know why that's creepy? Do you? I don't know if this is. I think this is a generational thing.
So it's based on a video game. I'm sure the video game is based on whatever you're.
Oh, this is based on a video game like that. Okay.
There's a game called Five Nights at Freddy's, and
okay. Do you know what that comes from?
What do you mean?
So back in the day, and I think Chuck E. Cheese is the same, but this is definitely at Showbiz Pizza. So you got the big pizza room, okay? I've seen Chuck E. Cheese in Woodbury. Like, we've taken our kids there. Yeah. Way different than it was back in the day. So Showbiz Pizza, there's just something creepy about the 80s, just FYI. You know this. Brad knows what I'm talking about. And the big pizza room, there's these curtains, right? And that's where the stages are. And on the stage, they had the different characters. Chuck E. Cheese was a character in Showbiz's Pizza's band.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this, I want to say it was like a big old gorilla, like that played the keyboard. So in between the shows of the animatronics, you would go up to the curtains and you would peek behind the curtains, and it was freaky.
Yep.
And that's where that I know that's where they got that idea from, because we all did that back in the day, and we were scared out of our wits because you got these big, and that gorilla looking thing was creepy because he's just as still as can be in this posture, and it's dark. So that's where they're getting that from. That looks really cheesy, to be honest with you.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so go out and see this movie, but the problem is.
Well, wait, you haven't seen the movie. Why don't you just tell us what you thought of it on Tuesday?
So
because we're doing a special Halloween episode.
Yeah, on it. Also, Halloween's coming up, so good reason to go watch it then. I've been following this game since it came out in middle school. I think it was 2013 or something like that. And I've been following every single game since. There's like 20 games in the series or something like that. It rocks. It's very scary. And so the movie is made for me and fans of the game. It's going to be spooky, but reviews are giving it really low ratings because it's like, what's even going on? Nobody knows the lore and stuff. But if you've gone to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid and looked behind the curtains, like most of us probably did, that's going to freak you out just a little bit.
Yeah, but I think then what did the animatronics do? Like they don't know.
That's why you'll have to watch the movie and find out.
I really like this comment from Tacos and Beer. It's like Willy's Wonderland with Nick Cage.
Have you guys ever
seen that movie?
I have seen that movie. It is masterful.
It's hilarious because Nicolas Cage doesn't have any lines.
He doesn't.
But he's the main character.
He doesn't say a single word.
It's a cheesy movie. You could tell because like they paid him just enough to get him to show up, but like not enough to speak.
What is that series? I want to say it was HBO that was based on a game that was about like surviving the basically like a zombie apocalypse.
Oh,
The Walking Dead?
No, what's the game?
The Last of Us?
Last of Us. That was pretty good, that show.
Yeah, I'm playing through The Last of Us with my girlfriend right now. It's fun.
Oh, goals.
Yeah.
Goals. Did you just say goals?
I did say goals.
Goals.
Yeah, that's a good place to end it.
That's a great place to end it. All right, we'll be back on Tuesday for a special Halloween episode. If you guys don't know, I celebrate Halloween so much. So does Dawson. Dawson and I connected. Yep. Dawson and I will probably create a horror movie at some point because we share that interest in it. At my house, we do a haunted house. That's what I'm known in the neighborhood as, is the guy with the haunted house. Literally, when I get introduced to people, they talk about my haunted house, which people are like, there's no decorations up. I've been behind the game on decorations, but I don't like to put a lot of decorations up. I wait till Halloween. They don't get to see what's going on. But it's I'll put it this way. Now have you not confirmed yet? Jesse's confirmed. You're gonna be. We got I own probably a dozen some masks. We have people like literally get routed through the garage. It's pretty damn scary, right? You gotta admit it's pretty scary. We made a video, so maybe we'll play the video.
We should, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I lost my voice last year because I was one of the whatever you call it, the people scaring.
You were one of the scarers?
Yeah, I lost my voice.
So we'll have a special Halloween episode.
T-Wall for Life says Halloween costumes expected. I think that's a good
Oh, yeah, we'll be in costume for sure. Now, I'm always Michael Myers. I think Michael Myers is the scariest costume out there. I think that's the best. The Halloween series, the best series, right? Halloween one especially.
Hard to disagree.
What do you think, Dawson? What do you think is the best?
My favorite of the old 80s movies is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Same.
Well, Nightmare on Elm Street is damn good, too.
Yep.
But I don't think that's as good as the Legend of Michael Myers. And that's Halloween 2 and Halloween 4 and 5. Halloween 3, they went to a different... Actually, Halloween 3 is really bad and cheesy, but there's some good to that one too, okay? But I'm a big fan of Halloween, all right? The movie Halloween. What's so funny?
I don't know if I even want to read this comment.
I
Then
think your
don't.
mic died. I think so.
Is William going to be Taylor Swift? I just read the comment. That's great. That's hilarious. Anyhow, Tuesday we'll be back, our special Halloween horror episode. Go to actionforliberty.com, read the articles we did today. Also, buy your tickets to the Christmas event. We appreciate everyone watching. Make sure you hit like, subscribe to us on Rumble or YouTube, wherever you're watching from, or on Facebook, like that page. Let the algorithm know to share this around. Thank you very much, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Take care.